Excellent. I think we're on air now.
Brilliant.
Hello, everyone. Happy lunchtime. It's
Happy almost Halloween.
we're here again with another Lunchtime Live. It's been a few weeks since we've done one, so thank you very much if you're coming and joining us. I'm Adrian Maida. I work at the FreeAgent in the marketing department, and I'm here again with Emily Coltman, FCA, who is our Chief Accountant, who will be on hand to take all of your questions today. Basically, this is going to be a session for a range of different questions.
Yes.
We've not really got any specific topics in mind, so it's whatever you want to ask us. So if there's anything about invoicing, expenses, bookkeeping, generals that are taking care of your finances, questions about using FreeAgent, then just write them in and put them on the Q&A part just on the right hand side of the screen, as you can see there. We've already got quite a few, and I noticed that there's a lot of folks that have written them up on the event page as well. So the best thing is, I think, for us to just click straight into them.
Let's
if that's okay.
I'm
going to take some of the ones that are on the page. This is why I'm looking down in this direction, because I've got another screen here. We'll do those first, and then we'll kick into the ones that are on the Q&A, if that's okay.
Certainly.
So I think we'll start really with a question from Michael, who says, "Can I lease a car through my business for my personal use? How do I work out how much of a contribution I'll have to make it if it is leased?"
Right. Okay, Michael. Well, the answer to that is very much going to depend on whether you are a sole trader or whether your business is a limited company. Because if you are a sole trader, then there's actually no legal difference between you owning the car and the business owning the car, because you're legally the same. If, on the other hand, it's a limited company and it's the company leasing the car and letting you use it for private mileage, that's actually going to be a taxable benefit. So you're going to have to fill in what's called a Form P11D, and you're going to have to pay some extra tax on the fact that you're getting personal use of a company car. So what I would do is have a chat with your accountant, make sure that that you go through the situation in full with them. So sole trader or limited company, the terms of the lease, and I would thrash that out with your accountant, to be honest.
Okay. Do another a quick one here from Richard, who says it's really just an admin question, so I think it's a FreeAgent question.
Yes, okay.
About changing his payment period requirements.
Okay, so if that's with your invoices, Richard, if, for example, you want to change the payment terms from 30 days to 15, just overtype that on the invoice. What FreeAgent should then do is, when you create your next invoice, it should remember that you changed the payment terms last time.
Okay, excellent. Question here from Benji, who says, "Can I claim expenses or capital allowances on a computer that I bought just before going self-employed? I now use it almost entirely for my business use."
Good question, Benji. If you bought that computer with the intention of using it just in the business, then yes, you would be able to claim capital allowances on that computer as if you bought it on the day your business started.
Cool. I hope that helps, Benji. A question here from Guy, who says, "Hi, I'm self-employed. What allowance can I claim back for business driving in my own car? I would like to just put in an expense claim for each use with the correct mileage rate."
Well, that's exactly what you should do, Guy. And what you can do, certainly, if your business turnover is under £81,000 a year, so that's your sales, £81,000 a year is the current VAT threshold. That's why that number's used. What you would do if you're a FreeAgent customer is you go to expenses and you click on add new mileage, and you just pop in your journeys. You put in your business journeys only, that is, put in how far you travelled, for what purpose, and then FreeAgent will actually work out the correct amount to claim tax relief on. So you just pop your journeys in.
Okay. A question from Nicola, who says, "As a solo self-employed person running a business, if I'm paying myself a wage from my business account to my personal account to live off, what is the correct protocol in terms of labeling it through FreeAgent? And at a tax return level, is that a viable business expense?"
Okay, the answer is, Nicola, that because you are self-employed, you and your business are legally the same. Therefore, any money that you take out of your business actually doesn't count as an expense that reduces your business's profit. So in FreeAgent, you have to explain it as money paid to user and drawings. That is an excellent question. Thank you for asking it. So as a sole trader, if you draw a wage from the business, it's money paid to user, drawings.
Okay. A question from Michael, who says, if I've sent a few separate invoices to one client, but then pay them all at once, it doesn't match up when I upload my statement, i.e. it either looks like the client's overpaid on a particular invoice or other ones haven't been paid. Can I get any help?
You can indeed, Michael. What you need to do is when you go into the payment to explain it, you actually need to change the amount of the payment from the full amount to the amount of the first invoice. So say the payment was for £1,000 and it's for 2 invoices at £500 each. What you do is you click on the unexplained payment for £1,000, you change the amount of the payment from 1,000 to 500 times the first invoice. FreeAgent will then create a new receipt for £500 so that your bank account balances. You tie that up to the second invoice and that will clear it. If you get stuck with that, please do contact our support team. It's email support@freeagent.com.
Okay, I hope that helps you, Michael. The last question that we've got on the events page before we go into the into the Q&As here is from Chris. I'm not too sure whether we're going to be able to answer him, but he says, can I claim the cost of Facebook and Google advertising as an expense? If
it's for your business, Chris, yes, you can. Pop it in as advertising and promotion.
Excellent. Oh, nice and easy and straightforward. Excellent. Okay, let's start on with these ones here. We have a question from Shadozi, who says, I am starting a limited company. I'm the sole shareholder. Is it advisable to place myself on a salary or just wait for dividend? It's a small company that won't be making enough money yet, enough sales to cover expenses for expenses.
Okay. The thing behind that is there are various reasons why salary is good tax-wise and various why dividend are. So in brief, if you take a salary from a limited company, then that reduces the company's corporation tax bill. It also can protect your entitlement. If your salary is set at the right level, it can protect your entitlement to state pension and other state benefits. National insurance is not payable on dividends, though, which it is on salaries. That means that you pay less tax on the dividend when you draw it, but it also doesn't protect your entitlement to state pension. It's also important to note that if you want to pay dividends, the company must have enough profit, not enough cash, enough profit to pay the dividends. So what I would probably do, Chidozi, is actually discuss that with your accountant and get him or her to recommend the optimum mix of salary and dividends for your particular circumstances.
Okay, I hope that helps, Shadozi. We'll go on to this next one from Peter, who says, what are the pros and cons of treating the purchase of a £2,000 computer as a capital allowance rather than as a regular expense?
Okay, Peter, that's actually governed by accounting rules in the UK, which say that if you buy a piece of equipment that's sort of outside the usual routine of your business, so you don't buy a computer every day, and it's going to be useful to your business for more than a couple of years, then you actually have to treat it as a capital asset. It's not a question of this way is better than that way. It's a question of that's how you have to do it because accounting rules say so. So you need to explain that as a purchase of capital asset.
Okay, there is a question here from Paul who's asking about plans for reporting in FreeAgent, so for profitability like for like with the previous year. That's actually more of a question for our development team.
Yes.
If you look on online, we do actually have our depot, which is a list of sort of the forthcoming features that we're currently working on. If there isn't anything that you see there that you think should be, then and there's email addresses and stuff to actually request the feature within there. So probably your best protocol is to look there first.
Yes.
And if there's something that you still want to see on there, then to drop the email and put a feature request in.
Yes.
And that as well. But
yes,
sorry, we can't be more help than that, I'm afraid. But yeah, that's the process for that. Okay, next question is from Michael, who says, hi Emily, I'm a sole trader. I've paid to have extra sockets and data cabling installed in the room I use as an office at home. What category do I use for this in FreeAgent?
Use of home is what you should use for that, Michael, because that's exactly what it is. Use of home or office costs. Do double check with your accountant as to whether you can claim that, given how you're working out business use of home, which can be done in several different ways. It may well be that, say, if you use the home 80% for business, if you use that room 80% for business, then you claim 80% of those costs. It may well be that you're doing a flat rate allowance anyway, but have a chat with your accountant. But yes, I put them in use of home in FreeAgent.
Okay, I hope that helps you, Michael. Next question here is from Oliver, who says, I only recently opened a business bank account, so I was storing my payments in my personal account in the meantime. What's the best way to show my records for this? Should I transfer all my earnings into my business account?
Okay, Oliver, there's a couple of ways you can do that. So presumably you're running your business bank account through FreeAgent, which is brilliant. If you've got a personal account from before that date, then what I'd recommend you do is that you enter any payments of business costs from before you open the business bank account under expenses, because that's effectively what they are. You've incurred them privately. Any earnings that were paid into your personal account, I would actually transfer those into your business bank account, because that's going to be the easiest way to keep track of them, and then explain those as invoice receipts or as sales in FreeAgent.
Okay, done. There's another one here about, I think it's from Paul again, about plans to introduce forecasting in FreeAgent. Again, it's the same thing. If you look on the depot, you'll see what's going on there. We do actually integrate with forecasting tools as well.
Yes, that's
so
right.
If you look on our integrations and add-on pages as well, if there's something that you're desperate for right now, then have a look there and you'll see what we currently do integrate with. But
that's right.
Again, on the depot, and if there's something that you don't see there that you want, then do put the feature request in. Okay, next is a question from Amir, who says, I receive some of my income as PAYE, which is automatically taxed. I received the rest by invoicing other companies. How should I mark my PAYE income in FreeAgent so that I'm not paying tax on it again when I submit it to HMRC?
Excellent question, Amir. What you should put that in, and that income in, so that it stays off your tax return in the self-employment pages. You put it as money received from user, capital introduced, because it counts as you putting your own money into the business accounts. Remember then, when you come to do your tax return, do a separate set of pages, employment pages, to show that income, because you've still got to tell HMRC that you had that income and you suffered PAYE on it. Even though that you have already paid tax on it, you still got to put it on your tax return. So put it in the employment section, and in your business bank account, it is money received from user, capital introduced.
Okay, nice. Hope that helps you, Amir. So if you're watching and you do have any questions, then just post them up onto the Q&A list on the right. If you can't see it, I think there's a button on the left which says Q&A, and it'll open it up. But that's currently where we're looking through everything. I know we said originally it was going to be until 12:30, but if you have lots of stuff that you desperately want to answer, we can go a little bit further on. But get the questions in now, and then we'll be able to answer them. Okay, next question is from Sarah. I think Sarah's been along to these before. Hello, Sarah.
Hello.
She says, for expenses that are for services that help me run my business, such as Basecamp for project management, do they go under subscriptions in FreeAgent?
Okay, Sarah, the issue with using subscriptions is that it is a bit of a tax sensitive category. HMRC might look quite closely at expenses figures because they have certain rules around professional subscriptions, magazine subscriptions, and so forth that may or may not be allowable for tax. Where I would put things like Basecamp and indeed FreeAgent is actually computer software.
Okay. Next question is from Leslie, who says, should my business bank account have the same balance as my FreeAgent account at the end of the business tax year in theory and practice? Yes,
Leslie, it should. If it doesn't, and if you're stuck with trying to sort it out, then a few things I would recommend. Firstly, check under edit details. So that's go to banking, click on the bank account under the graph and click on edit details, and then have a look to make sure that your business's opening balance was the same as the bank balance as at that particular date. Then have a look through and look for any duplicate transactions, any transactions you might have put in FreeAgent manually that aren't on your bank statement. Basically what you're looking for is any differences between your FreeAgent records and your bank records. If you get stuck, then do ask your accountant, because unfortunately that does count as accounting advice, reconciling your bank account. It's not something HMRC allow us to do for you. So you are going to have to talk that through with your accountant.
Cool. Yeah, sorry about that, Les. I hope that does give you a little bit of information and helps you out a bit. Okay, next question here from Dane, who says, I am a small limited company. My question relates to expenses that can be claimed and HMRC acceptance, e.g. use of my home office phone business accounts that have a free element of calls, client entertainment and sponsorships, also attending conferences?
Okay, well, that's quite a big question, Dane. So unfortunately, if I sat here and explained to you everything that HMRC say you can claim as an expense, I'm afraid we would still be here till next month. So I'll try and give you a few succinct answers. Basically, you can claim costs that are wholly, exclusively, and in some cases also necessarily just for your company's business. So in terms of business use of home, we've actually got an infographic that helps company directors claim the right costs for business use of home, which if I smile very sweetly at Adrian, I'm sure he will put the link up on the events page for you.
We certainly will. We have one of those for limited companies and one of those for sole traders, so we'll put both of them up.
Brilliant.
Because I think there'll be folks that are watching who'll need the other one as well. So
definitely,
we'll pop both of those up.
Yep. Phone business accounts that have free element of calls. There are quite a lot of rules around phones, things like, is it your phone? Is it the company's? Who's paying for the contract? So there, I'm afraid I'm going to have to say discuss that with your accountant. Client entertaining, you almost certainly cannot claim tax relief on. That has to go into business entertaining in your accounts. Sponsorship, sometimes you can claim, sometimes you can't. Again, you're going to have to discuss that with your accountant. And ditto attending conferences, because it depends where they are, what the conference was for, whether it was in a sense entertaining or whether it was networking. There's quite a lot of complicated rules, so I'm afraid I can't go into that much detail here. You're going to need to have a chat with your accountant.
Yeah, HMRC don't tend to make it easy for these things. So definitely go and chat and get the advice that you need from your accountant.
Yeah.
Okay, next question is from Jane, who says, what kind of expense should payments for using services like Dropbox or Hootsuite be classified as? I think we've covered this already, but we might as well go back into it again. Yes, that's it.
It's the same answer as I gave to Sarah, Jane, which is that if you pay for things like that, so it's basically computer software, Dropbox, Hootsuite, FreeAgent, Basecamp, whatever it might be, I would put those into computer software rather than to subscriptions.
Okay. There might be some repetition of questions and stuff, but we're just going to run through them all. So if there's a question that you've heard before and an answer you heard before, sorry about that, but it just makes it easier for everyone to get the answers they want. Okay, question here from Miguel, who says, I was a sole trader, web design services, from July 2013 to November 2013. During that period of time, I didn't have any expenses and unfortunately any clients. HMRC is asking me to submit the tax return for 2013 and 14. I can do it online, but what should I put on it?
Okay, Miguel, if you had no expenses and no income, just put the boxes as 0 and make sure that you put on your tax return the date that the business started and the date that it ceased, because that might stop HMRC asking you to do a tax return next year if you don't have other income that would be disclosed on a tax return.
Excellent. I take it, would he have to keep any kind of expenses or any sort of documentation that he's had? If
you've had no expenses and you've had no clients, then you can't keep a record of nothing. You can't keep a receipt that never existed. No, it's a good question though.
True enough. Yeah. Okay, Miguel, I hope that helps. Give us a shout back if you need anything more, but I hope that helps you out with that. Next question here from Pete, who says, hi Emily, if a client is overpaid and doesn't want the money back as they'll be spreading the amount over the next 2 months, should I be sending invoices with negative amounts?
No, Pete, I wouldn't do that. What I would do is I would put against the first invoice just the amount that belongs to that invoice, create your next 2 invoices now and send them to the client. So for example, if you ask the client to pay 2,000 and they paid you 3,000 by mistake and you're keeping 1,000, create those 2 new invoices that make up the £1,000 now, allocate the payment to them and then send them to the client.
Okay. Got a follow-up from Dane here, who says, I draw a small salary from my limited company of which I am the sole shareholder. I want to take some of the profit as a shared dividend. What are the rules and how do I do it?
Okay, Dane, well, your company must have enough profit, not enough cash, enough profit to pay the dividend. Otherwise, if your company goes insolvent and can't pay its creditors, then they can actually demand you repay the dividend. It's actually illegal for a company to pay a dividend if it doesn't have enough profit. Remember too, that is profit after corporation tax, not before. So check your mini P&L on your FreeAgent screen and make sure that you are not taking out any more than the figure that says carried forward or distributable, and do double check with your accountant if you're at all unsure. Then once you're happy that the company's got enough profit to cover the dividend, what you do is you pay the money from the company's bank account, transfer it over to yours, explain that in FreeAgent as money paid to user and dividend. FreeAgent will do the necessary paperwork, it creates the dividend voucher. You then need to save it as a PDF from FreeAgent and then either print it and sign it, or sign it electronically using something like EchoSign or Right Signature, and keep the dividend paperwork because it's got to go on your tax return as well.
Okay, I hope that helps, Dane. Next question is from Michael again, who says, do I need to keep paper copies of receipts and invoices once I've added them to FreeAgent? Good question.
Yes, it is a good question. I would say yes, Michael, but they don't necessarily have to be paper copies. HMRC will nearly always accept scanned copies of paperwork. What I would probably suggest you do is, presumably you've scanned them in order to add them to FreeAgent as attachments. What I would suggest you do is use something like Dropbox or Deposit It to keep copies of those separate from FreeAgent, because that way if you cancel your FreeAgent account in the future, you've still got the copies of your paperwork to hand. And I would keep them safe because HMRC say you must keep them for at least 6 years. Keep them safe and back them up. Deposit It is my favourite online backup service, but there are plenty out there. Keep them safe that way.
Excellent. I think we have a blog post as well about will
Yes,
HMRC accept scanned receipts too. So that covers a lot of this. We'll post that up onto the event page as well.
That's right. Yeah, we do.
Excellent. Okay. Next is a question from Perry, who says, my business rents out relatively high value items, so £500 each. How should I classify the purchase of these items? Are they capital assets?
Good question, Perry. I would say yes, they almost certainly would be capital assets, but do double check that with your accountant, because in some situations, assets that you rent out can actually be classified as your business's stock. Stock is usually goods kept for resale, but in some circumstances, it can be goods kept for renting. So do check that with your accountant. I would classify them as capital assets for now. Tell your accountant that that's what you've done and see if he or she's happy with that.
Okay, I hope that helps you, Perry. Next question from, just having a moment.
No, it's okay, it's gone.
There we go. Next question is from Leslie, who says, the advice about dividends seems complicated. Do accountants who don't know FreeAgent have difficulties working out how we've accounted for these things?
Leslie, welcome to my world. Yes, dividends are complicated. I'm afraid tax is complicated. Accountants will frequently disagree about how things should be handled. Put it this way, I spent quite a long time yesterday having a debate with a fellow accountant about how to handle a particular transaction for VAT. Things are so unclear that even accountants can't agree on them. So I know that's not very helpful, but unfortunately that's the way the UK's tax system is. As to whether accountants who don't know FreeAgent have difficulties working out how you've accounted for these things, FreeAgent is a very, very simple package to use. If your accountant is used to using something like, say, Sage 50, FreeAgent is going to be a doddle for them to find their way around. It's because it's so much simpler. So no, your accountant shouldn't have any difficulty with that. If they do, though, you can always sit them down and show them and say, look, okay, I accounted for this as a dividend and here's where I put it.
Okay, I hope that helps, Leslie. Next question here from Joanne. He says, hi, I work as both a self-employed carer and a carer directly employed by one of my clients. I'm paid mileage by all clients if I take them out, etc. Can I set my mileage driving between one client and another against tax?
Oh, Joanne, I wish I could answer you, but unfortunately, that is going to depend on a lot of other factors. It's going to depend on how far the journey is between your clients. It's going to depend on what your, quote, base of operations, unquote, is, sort of whether your base of operations is an entire area. And also, if you're driving between a client who you're self-employed with and your client who pays you as an employee, do you know, I don't actually think that would count for tax relief, because effectively you're not going from one work engagement to another with the same job, you're going from one job to another. So I think actually that's not claimable, but I would double check that with your accountant just to make sure.
Okay.
Okay,
that one we've already done, I think.
Yes, we have. So questions from Richard, and I can see a later one from Michael Baldry. I think we've answered that one too.
Yeah, we've done them both. That's fine. Cool. We'll do this one from Joel then. He says, if I travel every day 39.5 kilometers to the place of work at my client's site, can that be claimed as an expense?
Okay, Joel, unfortunately, it's not just how far the journey is that determines whether or not you can claim it. The rules for sole traders and limited companies are different. It also depends on whether you are going to be with that client for a long period of time. If you're employed, say by your own limited company, and you're going to be at that site for 2 years, then no, you won't be able to claim that because it counts as home to work travel. For self-employed, you might possibly be able to claim it, again, depending on how long you're going to be working at that client's site. HMRC might well view it as your permanent workplace. So I would actually go through that with your accountant based on all the factors.
Okay, looks like we've got 2 more questions here, so we're going to do those. If you do have another one, then get it in quick next minute. Otherwise, we'll just close it off for today. But we'll do this first one from Ken, which I don't think we've done.
No, we haven't.
He says, I work from home, part of which has a flat roof that I've replaced the flat roof under which my office and other rooms are located. Right, okay. Can I put the repair cost for the area which is above my office against business expense and also claim the VAT back? Okay,
Ken. If you are a sole trader, then you would actually work out the business proportion of the repair cost according to the infographic, which I think Adrian and his colleague Jess shared, which is great. You would work that out. And yes, I believe you could claim the VAT back on that element of it only, on the business proportion of the cost. On the other hand, Ken, if your business is a limited company, then HMRC will actually not allow you to reclaim any part of that cost, because they'll say that you would have had that repair done anyway, whether or not you would have been working at home. The rules are different for sole traders and company directors, so it is going to depend.
Okay, we've got a new question in from Shadozi, so I'll answer that one. It says, if I subscribe to FreeAgent payroll, would it be my responsibility to print payslips? And if so, could it be printed to my ordinary printer and on A4 paper?
It's yes to both questions. Yes, it is your responsibility to print payslips, and yes, you can print it on your ordinary printer and A4 paper. You can also save them as PDFs and keep them as electronic copies, but yes, it is your responsibility to make sure you've got copies of the payslips.
Cool. I'd say as well, if you've got any other sort of questions about payroll within FreeAgent, then our knowledge base has quite a lot of information about setting up payroll and what to do when you're running it and stuff. So if you go through to that section, have a look around, then you should be able to find, I think, everything that you need there. Again, we'll post the general link to that section up, and then go wild and have a look. Okay, and looks like we're at the last question here from Maddie. Sorry it's taken a while to get through to you, but I thought this would be a nice one to actually end on. He says, if I buy lunch, do I need to claim the expenses? I think I'll actually change that to, if I buy lunch, can I claim the expenses?
Okay, Maddie, that is very much going to depend on where you are and what you're doing. If you're working at home on your own, the answer is no. You wouldn't be able to claim the cost of food, because HMRC say that everybody has to eat in order to live, and therefore buying food has what they call an intrinsic dual purpose. It's always going to be for the purpose of keeping ourselves healthy and fed. Sometimes it may also have a business purpose as well, but HMRC will quite often disqualify expenses that by definition have a personal element as well as the business one. There's a few situations where you can claim the cost of food and drink. Again, I think we've got a magic infographic.
We do.
Adrian.
It's can I claim lunch on the go? So yeah, we'll post that, and it's pretty much got like it's a sort of a flow chart which will tell you exactly, if I do this, can I claim? And
exactly.
I think it's got pretty much most of the info that you'll ever need on it. So.
It has, yes, it has.
Excellent. Okay. Well, as I said, Maddie, we'll post that, and hopefully that will give you a hand too. And as there are no more questions, I think that is probably going to be us for the day. Thank you very much, everyone. That's been really, really good. We've said before, these sessions are always great when we have people coming in, posting questions beforehand. So that's been absolutely wonderful. Thank you very much indeed for posting them all. And we really hope that the information that Emily's given has been useful for you. Before we head off, we'd just say if there's anything that you're unsure about particular aspect of FreeAgent or for expenses or invoicing or all that kind of stuff, do go over to freeagent.com and do have a look through in the knowledge base that we have over there. It's pretty much like a full rundown of the FreeAgent system and what you can do and how it can help. So go over and look at that, and if after that there's still anything that you're unsure about, then do give our support team a call about any sort of FreeAgent issues.
Absolutely.
And they'll be more than happy to help you.
Yeah, remember that the support team cannot give you advice on whether you can claim tax relief on a particular cost or anything like that, because at FreeAgent we are not authorised by HMRC to provide accounting advice. I can provide general guidance, and that's as far as I can go. So what I would suggest is, if you are unsure about claiming tax relief or tax treatment of a particular something, ask your accountant or speak to HMRC themselves.
Cool. I see we've actually just got a very, very quick and last question in from Leslie. So we'll do that before we sign off. It says, can I enter data from business accounting and from personal accounting for personal self-assessment in the same program? Okay,
Leslie, it's going to depend what else you've got to put on your tax return. FreeAgent, if you're a sole trader, will do the self-employment section of your tax return. You can also, or will help you do the self-employment section of your tax return, I should say. You can also put in a set of employment pages as a sole trader's tax return. What you can't add are things like rental income or capital gains or income from a trust, the more unusual things. So if you've got any of that, you're actually going to have to use a different package or HMRC's own online portal to file your tax return.
Cool. Okay, I hope that helps. And yeah, essentially we'll be back with one of these lunchtime live hangouts probably next month. We'll do another one of these, but every Wednesday we do actually do a text live Q&A on Google Plus, and another one up on Facebook. They run concurrently at the same time, so we usually give the links out at the very start of the week or even the end of the week before, about what subject we're going to be tackling and what you can ask questions on. So do keep an eye out on both pages. You obviously know what the Google Plus page is because you're here, but the Facebook one is FreeAgent app, and that'll find you. Or you can also keep an eye out on Twitter, because we do talk about them there, and that's just at FreeAgent, all one word. I'd also say as well that if you need anything, any more information about sort of general kind of invoicing and expenses, if you go through to our blog, at freeagent.com, there's actually quite a lot of information that's through there as well about particular sort of invoicing, expenses, tips, that kind of thing, which you might find useful as well. So if you go through the archive and have a look, you should find some info that you need there. Very, very finally, if you're watching this and you're currently not a FreeAgent user or a subscriber, then do go along and have a look as well. And take a 30-day free trial and have a play around and see if it's the kind of thing that would that you'd find useful to do your business accounts. We've obviously got a ton of feedback through on the website as well from people that were in the same boat, who now use us and now love us. So please do go and have a look and see if it's something you're interested in. And if you currently do use FreeAgent and you know someone else that would be in need of us, then do go and tell them too. We do have a referral program as well. So if you refer someone to us, then they get 10% off their monthly bill. And so do you, forever, or for as long as they're a subscriber.
For as long as you're both subscribers.
So yeah, do check that out. We'll put a link through to the referral scheme in on the page as well, just so you know what that's all about.
Certainly.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next time, and goodbye.
Cheerio.